Good morning. You're watching the Financial News Network. I'm Courtney Woodworth. This rare metal is used in everything from ballistic missiles to welding tools to golf clubs, and I'm talking about tungsten. It's an extremely hard, dense metal with a melting point at 6,000 Fahrenheit. That's the same as the surface of the sun. And a holding company owned by Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway is backing Woulfe Mining's tungsten exploration venture in South Korea. And joining me this morning is Woulfe Mining CEO Brian Wesson to dig deeper into the Berkshire Hathaway deal and talk tungsten. First off, congratulations on your recent deal with IMC, a unit of Berkshire Hathaway. That must be a great vote of confidence from one of the greatest value investors of the world, Warren Buffett. Tell us a little bit about how this partnership came about and how the alliance with Berkshire Hathaway's IMC will help the company going forward.
Well, I suppose the partnership, it was most probably the most logical person to supply tungsten to. They are in South Korea. They're about 150, 200 k's to the south of us in South Korea, and they've just doubled capacity. So when we came into the company about 2 years ago, they were the obvious guys. We went and talked to them. So we've been communicating them for quite a long time. But now, because they've been doubling their production and we got to the stage where we need to develop, we've become very serious about talking about strategic partnerships and looking at what was best for our shareholders. Mm-hmm. And obviously, Berkshire Hathaway, Tech with the IMC name, them being able to come in and investing us, sort of the whole package gives us technology, gives us finance, and actually gives us a wonderful partner that's been in the business for many, many years. So that's, I suppose, the reason we went to them. They are number 2 in the world. Mm-hmm. And this relationship obviously makes us very strong and makes them very strong because they know where they're going to get their tungsten supply.
So how is the market for tungsten? And tell us a little bit more about the growth projects at the company.
Came into the market about 2 years ago and we took over to this tungsten project. The price of tungsten was $180 per MTU. We thought, well, we expected it to run to a maximum of about $300. And it's gone up now. Today it's about $440. So it's exceeded all our expectations. With that, the project is a very big project. We'll be producing 7 to 10% of the world tungsten supply and about 50% of the non-Chinese supply. So we're a serious tungsten supplier. We'll be one of the biggest tungsten mines. And with this deal we've done with the APT, we actually going right through to APT. So we're refining it with, obviously, IMC now, refining it into APT, which is what everybody needs for their production.
China currently produces 85% of the world's tungsten, but their factories have been ravenous, and it turns out they're net importers. Interestingly, the U.S., Europe, and Japan consume about 55% of the world's tungsten, but only produce about 5%. How is China in particular affecting the tungsten market?
Well, China, for years, if you look at the market in the 80s, when China sort of opened up to the Western world, they started producing an incredible amount of tungsten. And they dropped the price about tenfold. And that closed all tungsten mines in the West. So this mine that we've taken over, it was closed in about 1992. It lasted longer than all the others, mostly because of the upstream processing. But China at the moment has dug up tungsten for 20 years. The grades are now dropping. The grades are generally about half ours, about a 0.2% tungsten. And obviously they now feeling the pressures of all the things that the Western world have been dealing with, wage pressures, safety issues. And so China's actually gone and made it a strategic metal because they've recognized you have to have tungsten to make anything. So without a piece of tungsten, you're not going to be able to make a car, a bicycle, anything out of steel or rolled steel. So what they've done is they've made it a strategic metal. They're reducing the quotas by 15% per year. And obviously, because they're the biggest supplier, they control the price. And people say, oh, well, is the price likely to fall? But if China's the biggest supplier and the price is high, that's very good for China. So we don't see any change in that. We see the market outside China getting tighter as we go forward.
Okay, last question. Warren Buffett said in a shareholder letter a few years ago, quote, "You could take all the gold that's ever been mined and it would fill a cube 67 feet in each direction. And for what it's worth at current gold prices, you could buy all, not some, but all of the farmland in the United States. Plus you could buy 10 Exxon Mobils, plus have $1 trillion of walking around money. Or you could have a big cube of metal. Which would you take? Which is going to produce more value?" You know, you could insert tungsten or any mineral where he said gold. Are tungsten and gold so uncorrelated that they're non-analogous?
I think what you said is right. They two sides, two extremes, tungsten and gold. Gold is, as you know, we have got a gold mine as well. That's not part of this deal, but gold is a metal that trades on sentiment. It hasn't got a huge manufacturing base, where on the other side, tungsten is a pure commodity. If you look at tungsten, there's no forward market, there's no sort of monetary mechanisms in tungsten at all. It's virtually supply and demand. It's one of the most purest metals around. So it's why is he getting involved in tungsten? Because you look at IMC, as you saw in his newsletter, IMC is a hugely profitable entity, but have to have tungsten powder to make tools.
Right.
So it's manufacturing, and it's even though we're a mine, you know, it's all going into manufacturing, and it's very much industrial metal. It's where gold, as I say, is a total extreme. Where if somebody comes out today and says the American economy is good, it's probably gold will tumble. And you know, I mean, I was running a gold mining in the 80s, and gold was $267, and we were all battling. You know, I think it went to 300. We thought it was good. So gold is volatile. I mean, it's had a very good run, but historically it's been very cyclic. So I suppose I agree with the Warren Buffett sentiments. But tungsten's not. We saw even in the financial crisis, you know, all the metals dropped dramatically. Tungsten was resilient because tungsten's going into manufacturing. You've got IMC's double manufacturing in Korea. You've had the Chinese building new factories with partnerships with companies in Germany. So all the big boys are expanding their tool manufacturing, which would say they all believe the GDP of the world is going to expand. Because as long as GDP expands, you need tungsten, whether you're making a bicycle, a washing machine, you know. So it's really, whether it's in Bangladesh, whether it's in the back end of China, or whether it's in downtown New York, you still need a piece of tungsten to use. That's right. So it runs with GDP, and if you look at the world GDP, it keeps expanding. You know, the world GDP hasn't, even with the financial crisis, it hasn't changed. You know, the lifestyle is slowly increasing, even maybe minutely. But if somebody buys a bicycle, they need tungsten to make it.
So tungsten demand grows in lockstep with global GDP.
That's
basically.
right. As the world economies expand, tungsten is needed to make, you know, as people's lifestyle improves.
Okay, interesting. All right, Mr. Brian Wesson, CEO of Woulfe Mining, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.